It's long been said that inflammation is the root of all disease, but is that really true? Well, it's definitely a big part of the story, I'll give you that, especially with chronic illnesses and autoimmune challenges. And there is solid evidence that chronic inflammation isn't only involved with conditions involving the gut and the immune system, but also the brain and the nervous system like autism, ADHD, anxiety, and also epilepsy. And while the traditional healthcare system throws heavy-hitting medications like NSAIDs and corticosteroids at the problem, and integrative medicine and biomechanical practitioners put patients through intense diet changes, detoxes, and vitamins or supplement protocols, for the vast majority of patients here today, there's an even deeper, almost hidden root cause of chronic inflammation and illness in both kids and their families. Don't get me wrong, it's great that the biomedical and functional med testing looks way deeper than ever before. But no amount of lab testing or blood work will ever find the stress and dysfunction in what's called the vagus nerve and autonomic nervous system the way that neurological insight scans can. And while it may sound so stinking simple, and it is, chronic stress is the number one hidden, in plain sight cause of inflammation even in kids. So in this video, what we're going to do, we will break down the most evidenced and up-to-date science on inflammation, chronic illness, with a special emphasis on the role of nervous system stress, vagus nerve dysfunction, nervous system dysregulation, and something called sympathetic dominance. We're revealing how getting the vagus nerve function right, or getting that nervous system balanced and regulated, could hold the actual key to so many of your child's health struggles. What we're going to do is that we will learn all about the safe, the simple, and gentle ways that we can stimulate and activate this essential part of the nervous system. And most importantly, how to first find if your child's nervous system and vagus nerve are stressed out and dysfunctional, and what caused it to be that way in the first place. About 27% of children in the United States have a chronic condition, and 1 in 15 have multiple chronic conditions. More and more research is indicating that more chronic conditions are on the rise for our pediatric patients. This is a sure sign that falling back on our traditional medical system is failing our families. And while inflammation is it is a big part of the chronic illness pathway in kids, there must be more going on that's not currently being addressed with the conventional or even the biomedical approach. First, is there something more going on than poor gut health, dysbiosis, and a microbiome issue? I'll give you a little clue. It is part of the story, but it is not the whole story. And once parents start digging into this chronic inflammation problem, 95% of the information online will rightfully and awesomely take them deep into a biomedical field that talks about the gut, the microbiome, and how it controls and connects to the immune system and inflammation. This leads parents on an awesome journey to remove things like gluten, dairy, grains, sugar, toxins, and it often adds in all sorts of diet changes, detoxes, vitamins, supplements to try and heal the gut and combat this inflammation. Well, this path is extremely helpful and it's an effective path, but it's also incomplete. And here's why it's incomplete. The number one missing part of the science and conversation, even in the natural health world, is stress on the nervous system, and more specifically, what's called vagus nerve dysfunction and dysautonomia. Now, this vagus nerve, it is the longest cranial nerve. It runs from the brainstem to the major organs like the heart, the lungs, the gut. It coordinates what's called the parasympathetic rest and digest response, which is crucial. Absolutely crucial for activating our body's self-healing and the recovery process. We also know that this vagus nerve is significantly connected to the immune system, and it's specifically the control of the regulation of what we're talking about here, inflammation. And when this vagus nerve becomes interfered with by something called subluxation along this pathway, it's a wildly important nerve. This gut and immune system dysfunction starts to set in, and inflammation can run rampant, even with the most pristine diets and all sorts of lifestyle interventions, supplements, cold plunges, and those infrared saunas. So how do we find this vagus nerve dysfunction? The hidden cause of what we're talking about here, inflammation. Well, there's a thing called neurologic insight scans, and one of the 3 parts is what's called neurothermal testing. It can detect areas of subluxation and nervous system interference along the spine, which indicates nervous system dysfunction and nervous system dysregulation, what we were just talking about. Then there's this thing called heart rate variability, or HRV if you're out there in the health world right now. This testing measures the balance of what we were talking about before between sympathetic fight or flight and the parasympathetic rest and digest nervous systems. What this does is it reveals a thing called dysautonomia in the body's ability to manage stress and inflammation. Now, these scans provide a big picture, comprehensive view of our nervous system health, which then helps us to identify the underlying issue in all of this. Now, if your child is struggling with inflammation-related symptoms like immune or autoimmune disorders, autism spectrum disorder, anxiety, seizures, and other neuroimmune-related health challenges, it is time to then look beyond just managing the symptoms and even just addressing inflammation through things like diet changes, nutrition, and those natural health measures. If you are tired of seeing your child sick, inflamed, and struggling with their health way too often, despite feeling like you have tried it all, I invite you to just give us a call to schedule your child's nervous system dysregulation and vagus nerve dysfunction scans and find the real root cause of your child's chronic inflammation and health struggles.